Hey, Brian coming to you today. Today I'd like to do a little comparison of the zoom features on the three drones that I own. I own the Mavic 2 Zoom, the Mavic Air 2, which has just recently had a firmware update that gave us all the ability to do digital zooming on a subject or a picture. And I also have the Evo 1, which also has a digital zoom. The Evo 1 has a digital zoom. It goes out to 8 times zoom, and like I said, the problem with that is it's all digital, so you'll see here in some of the examples it can be a little limiting. The Mavic 2 Zoom also has zooming capabilities. Two of its zooms, the initial zoom, depending on what you're shooting in, are optical. If you're shooting in 4K, it's a 2 times optical zoom and no more. If you're shooting in 1080p at 60 frames, it's also a 2 times optical zoom. If you're shooting in 1080p 30 frames though, however, it gives you 2 times optical zoom plus an additional zoom of digital. So the zoom on the Mavic 2 Zoom is different. It's not measured in like ×2 or ×3 or ×4. They do it kind of the right way, the photographic way. It starts at 24 millimeter focal point, and the 3 times zoom in this case would be 36 millimeter focal point with the farthest out 48 millimeter focal point. And that is the extent of the optical zoom. Whereas if you're shooting in 1080p at 30 frames a second, like I said, you can get an additional zooming feature with the Mavic 2 Zoom. Say you're at the 48 millimeter focal point, so you've reached the limit of the optical zoom, you can keep turning the scroll wheel when you're in that mode and get an additional 2 times zoom. So the next one would be 72, and then the final one would be 96 millimeter focal point zoom. The problem sometimes though with the Mavic 2 Zoom in any of its zoom modes can be lighting. If you're in a very bright environment and you're looking down at, say, a dark area on the ground, you're going to notice you're going to lose a lot of light. And unless you have your settings on automatic, you're going to have to manually adjust your light settings after zooming in on whatever subject you're looking at with the Mavic 2 Zoom. So with the Mavic Air 2, however, I've noticed that when you zoom in, of course, you can dial it in incrementally, either with the left-handed digital wheel while holding down the FN button, or you can do it on the screen itself, on the app screen itself, and just kind of push your thumb one way or the other to make it dial into the focal point where you'd like to have it. It does not show it in increments of millimeters. It shows it in increments of times whatever. 1 times, of course, is the normal range. 2 times would be a double times of the picture that you're looking at, and 3 and 4, etc. And it goes out to 4 times zoom. You don't get any loss, I notice, or you don't have any change of light, I should say, whenever you zoom in, even up to 4 times with the Mavic Air 2. I'm assuming this is due to the increased sensor size, as well as the technology that they've been able to throw at this thing to make it work in a far superior way than the other 2 drones that I have, as well as even at the highest rate of zoom on the Mavic Air 2, your distortion is very, very less than the other 2 drones. But I'm gonna put some examples up here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about in just a second. So can you tell which one I like? Yeah, no bias there. There's a few things though that you're not seeing out of this, such as pictures. Mavic Air 2 can do wonderful things with video shooting and digital zooms and all that good stuff, but what about pictures? Well, you've got 48 megapixel pictures on your drone now. If you need to zoom in on a picture, you shoot in 48 and you'll get whatever you need. But that is one thing though, you know, when you zoom in on any of the other drones, you can use the picture function. Why you'd want to do that, I don't know. But there is that. So that is just one thing. If I was having to fault anything or say, well, it doesn't do that, but it's so minor as to not even be worried about it. Anyway, I hope you took something from this video. Give it a like, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to. I'd appreciate it. And I will definitely see you on the next one. Thanks.